He has a duty and obligation to pick somebody beyond reproach, outside the political lane. I think he'll do that. I hope he'll do that. I would encourage the president to pick somebody we can all rally around, including those who work in the FBI.
Senator, is Kash Patel beyond reproach and someone that everyone can rally around?
Well, I think you were talking about what he should do the last time. Look what's happened since the last time.
As he tried in vain to defend Donald Trump's insane FBI director nominee, Republican Senator and Trump sycophant Lindsey Graham visibly died inside when the interviewer played a clip of Graham himself displaying his hypocrisy for the American people. But before we unpack all that, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bells before you go. All right, friends, we got a clip or two to look at here. Lindsey Graham, Republican Senator of South Carolina, a man who once positioned himself as a moderate, principled Republican senator, but who gleefully sacrificed his spine to become a sycophant of Donald Trump once he saw that Trump was the locus of Republican power, is at it again, and his hypocrisy was put on full display such that Graham was visibly struggling to square the circle, so to speak. And for context, the topic is Kash Patel, Donald Trump's insane, wildly unqualified nominee to be FBI director, who has vowed political retribution against Trump's opponents. So with that context, here's Lindsey Graham struggling on air.
Let me ask you about the FBI. Senator President-elect Trump has picked Kash Patel to lead the FBI. Of course, Christopher Wray did announce he's resigning 3 years before his term ends. Here's what you said on this program the last time Donald Trump was choosing an FBI director. Look.
He has a duty and obligation to pick somebody beyond reproach, outside the political lane. I think he'll do that. I hope he'll do that. I would encourage the president to pick somebody we can all rally around, including those who work in the FBI.
Senator, is Kash Patel beyond reproach and someone that everyone can rally around?
Well, I think you were talking about what he should do the last time. Look what's happened since the last time. The FBI, in the eyes of conservatives, has become sort of a very biased organization. The Hunter laptop was real. Right before the election of 2020, the intelligence community, including the FBI, suppressed that story. Crossfire Hurricane, run by the FBI, was a joke, was a political effort to take Trump down using false information generated by somebody connected to Russia. The Steele dossier was a lie. People used it to get warrants based on faulty information.
So let's just stop right there before we continue with Lindsey Graham's public debasement of himself. Just a couple of things. So number one, this investigation, the Crossfire Hurricane investigation, was investigated by John Durham, okay, a Trump/Bill Barr appointed special counsel. And the investigation, by the way, was allowed to continue under the Biden administration, although in theory, President Biden or Attorney General Merrick Garland could have snapped their fingers and killed it. They allowed the investigation to continue. And what you actually find, according to Robert Mueller, is that despite all sorts of procedural issues, including FISA warrants with parts of Crossfire Hurricane, the fact of the matter is that even John Durham agreed that there was a lawful predicate for the FBI to begin Crossfire Hurricane, to actually begin a preliminary investigation. Now, Durham says that that's where it should have started. There should have been a full investigation. There should have been a preliminary investigation, which is much narrower. But to be very clear, even John Durham, the man who investigated Crossfire Hurricane at the request or at the behest of Republicans, including Trump, said, yeah, actually, there was something here sufficient to start an investigation. So when Lindsey Graham suggests that, it's just pure nonsense, he's lying to you. I also want to talk real quick about the Hunter Biden laptop before we get back to Kash Patel. So the Hunter Biden laptop, is it real? Well, the FBI had a copy of the hard drive. And another copy of the hard drive was in the possession of Trump fixer and Trump political ally Rudy Giuliani, who attempted to weaponize it as an October surprise in 2020, who tried to weaponize a copy of the hard drive in bad faith. And forensic audits have determined that some of the contents on Rudy Giuliani's copy of the hard drive were valid, but other contents could not be determined. As a matter of fact, forensic audits also determined that some of the contents of Rudy Giuliani's copy of the hard drive had been altered after the fact. So it was difficult to separate fact from fiction from Rudy Giuliani's politically weaponized copy of the hard drive. Now, that was why so many right-wing outlets were very hesitant to actually run with the Hunter Biden laptop story because they couldn't forensically determine its veracity, and there was a lot about it which seemed shady. Now, as part of another investigation, the FBI had a copy of Hunter Biden's hard drive. Not the same copy that Rudy Giuliani had, but a separate copy. But here's the thing. The FBI is comprised of 35 to 38,000 people. Simply because one part of the FBI may not have known about an investigation going on with the other part of the FBI, this is not a conspiracy theory. This is not scheming of the FBI. It's that all 35 to 38,000 people don't necessarily have knowledge or have an intimate grasp of the evidence of the thousands upon thousands of investigations that are going on at the FBI at any given time. And the FBI didn't try to suppress the Hunter Biden laptop to begin with. It was actually 50 former intelligence officials, based on public reporting about the Hunter Biden laptop story, said this sure seems like it's Russian disinformation. And based on what we and they knew at the time, that makes sense. This conveniently placed laptop, which was dropped off to a blind repairman who happens to be a Republican, seems kind of sketch. And then why would you just release this in the 11th hour to influence the outcome of an investigation, knowing that that's precisely what Donald Trump wanted to do, what Vladimir Putin wanted to do on behalf of Donald Trump, or for Donald Trump, I should say, to benefit Donald Trump in the last election. Based on what people knew at the time, that story was sketch as hell. And also, just apropos of nothing, we recently learned that a key smoking gun witness to the Republican investigation into Hunter Biden, Alexander Smirnov, well, he just pled guilty to the FBI about lying about the Bidens, Hunter Biden and President Biden. So I'm not sure Lindsey Graham wants to go down this road of, everybody knew that the Hunter Biden laptop story was legit and the FBI had a copy of the hard drive and they willingly suppressed. None of that is true. Infinitely more complicated than what Lindsey Graham wants to tell you. And he doesn't want to tell you that a key figure in the Republicans' case against the Bidens just pled guilty to lying his ass off about the Bidens, regurgitating Russian disinformation. So again, important to fact check Lindsey Graham in real time as he scrambles to justify, oh my God, why is it that, in 2017, I said that Donald Trump should pick someone who doesn't have his thumb on the political scale, who is apolitical, that everybody can embrace. And now Trump's doing the exact opposite by nominating Kash Patel. So I have to scramble. I have to find something to justify this incongruity. So he continues.
So the FBI we talked about then has changed. So what do I want an FBI director now? Somebody that can clean it up, get back to the job of fighting crime, don't have your thumb on the political scale, make sure it's not used as a political weapon against people that you have a beef with. We don't want to go back to the days of J. Edgar Hoover. What we want to do is have an FBI that's going to call balls and strikes, and it's going to take somebody to clean out the place.
Well, I guess what I'm asking about is bipartisan support. Christopher Wray was confirmed by a vote of 92-5. Are you concerned about President-elect Trump putting forward someone who might not have that type of bipartisan support?
I can't stress to you enough that when I was a young person, I wanted to be an FBI agent.
Oh my God. And so he goes on like this. But it's so funny. He sidesteps a question like, listen, Christopher Wray, a Republican, a Trump-appointed Republican, was confirmed not just by Trump Republicans, like the Republican Senate, but also by Democrats who may not have preferred him, but they couldn't dispute the fact that he was qualified to lead the FBI. Meanwhile, the guy Trump is nominating now is this loser. And again, this clip is just evergreen, right? This is what Kash Patel volunteered to MAGA loyalist and MAGA strategist Steve Bannon. This is what potential and perhaps likely FBI Director Kash Patel has promised to do were he to be given a key position in the Trump administration to wield power and influence investigations. This is what Kash Patel wants.
excuse me, the one thing we learned in the Trump administration the first go around is we got to put in all America patriots top to bottom. And we got them for law enforcement. We got them for intel collection. We got them for offensive operations. We got them for DOD, CIA, everywhere. And the one thing we will do that they never will do is we will follow the facts and the law and go to courts of law and correct these justices and lawyers who have been prosecuting these cases based on politics and actually issuing them as lawfare. We will go out and find the conspirators, not just in government, but in the media. Yes, we're going to come after the people in the media who lied about American citizens, who helped Joe Biden rig presidential elections. We're going to come after you. Whether it's criminally or civilly, we'll figure that out. But yeah, we're putting you all on notice. And
so Lindsey Graham says, well, listen, I think the FBI director and the FBI should be nonpartisan and not politically biased. We don't want to go back to the days of J. Edgar Hoover. Well, this guy makes J. Edgar Hoover look like a moderate because J. Edgar Hoover at least had the circumspection to not say this sort of shit in public. J. Edgar Hoover did all kinds of unhinged, unethical, corrupt, illegal things during his unprecedented tenure as director of the FBI. And I also agree that the J. Edgar Hoover building at the FBI, that name should be stricken and should be renamed something else. But Kash Patel, the only difference is, at least based on the things Kash Patel is saying, so suppose it's possible, given that Kash Patel is a MAGA loyalist, that he's just simply lying, in which case my question to Lindsey Graham and Republicans would be, you're saying Kash Patel is a liar, and this is actually a virtue, and you're hanging your hats and your hopes on him being a liar. That's kind of weird and unethical in its own right. But assuming that Kash Patel is being honest, he would make the J. Edgar Hoover era of the FBI look like a walk through the park. So what the hell are you talking about, Lindsey? And this is the problem, unfortunately, with people like Lindsey Graham, one of the many problems, which is they are caught between a rock and a hard place to try to square things they used to say about principle and institutions and decorum and decency and civility and the state of play to what they are supporting now. There is no good faith line between these things. They're mutually exclusive. The things that Lindsey Graham used to say about the FBI and would say about the FBI if it were a Democrat who were making the nominations is mutually exclusive to what he's saying now that Trump is in charge, because Kash Patel is the exact opposite. He is the antithesis of the things that Lindsey Graham, even now, is saying he wants. Well, we want, again, an honest broker, someone who is not political, someone who will clean house and make reform, but not J. Edgar Hoover. This is J. Edgar Hoover right here. So, again, a lot of dishonesty coming from Lindsey Graham there as he struggled visibly to answer that question with the stammer, and then tried to lead us down a bunch of anecdotes and bullshit. It's just not true. Lindsey Graham has sold his soul and his spine to defend Donald Trump, and this is the unenviable position in which he finds himself. And by the way, not for nothing, he doesn't even have Trump's respect. So what the hell did it get you, Lindsey? And what might it cost the American people in the future because of your cowardice? Food for thought. In the meantime, let me know what you think in the comments.